This is the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money. Here's Robert Kiyosaki.
Hello. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. And today we have, I don't know how to say it, it's probably the most important show you could listen to at this time in history. And for those who want to preserve your wealth and hang on to your shorts, please listen to this program because we have a very, very special guest today. He's a friend, neighbor from Hawaii. His name is Bert Doman. He is loved and hated, but he's always respected. His product is called the Wellington Letter, and the reason I respect Bert is because all of these years, every time he writes, he doesn't talk about BS, blue sky. He always has the facts and figures so that you can make up your own mind what you should do. And the reason today's Rich Dad Radio Show is important, the world is now changing so rapidly that if you're counting your 401k, I will pray for you tonight. Any comments, Kim?
Well, I love having Bert on our show. And Bert's the author of Prelude to Meltdown and Financial Apocalypse. He's also publisher of the Wellington Letter, of which we subscribe to. And what I love is he is the founder of Doman Capital Research. And the word is research. And he does his research. He's not just giving you opinions and basing it on a few little things. He is majorly researched these markets. If you want to better understand the markets, not just the stock market, but all markets. If you want to really better understand the market, then pay attention to Bert Doman.
And the reason Bert's important is because his Wellington Letter is nothing but facts.
Yes.
Not BS. It's like I listen to these characters, Bitcoin's going to go 250,000 this year, or Ethereum's going to beat this, or gold's going to go here, or the stock market's going to go here. That's not Bert Doman. His Wellington Letter is priceless if you want to know the facts. So that's why we have him on today. And there's something going on in the markets today that is very, 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 very frightening. And if you go, I'm going to buy some real estate. I'm going to have my 401k. Like I said, I hope you have rosary beads because I'll take laps around for you tonight and pray for you. So anyway, Bert has been a friend, for 40, 50 years now. And my neighbors hate him because he always says things. Well, what does Bert know? And go.
Well, they don't like him when he says the market's going to go down. Yeah. That's when they don't like him.
Yeah,
the market has to go up. It has to go up. It must go up.
And all these optimists, what I call it, fantasia, pixie dust and flowers and little angels floating in the sky. That's not Bert Doman. If you want pixie dust, watch CNBC. So anyway,
Bert,
my friend Bert, welcome to the program.
Hello, Kim and Robert. It's so nice to be with you again after all this time. And really, you make me blush, with all your compliments. I don't know if it's all deserved, but
it's well deserved.
I've been around in the investment area. Our business is 45 years old now. And after a while, you get a hang of it. You find out what's important and so on. And the thing we always try to do is tell people why. If we have a forecast, why do you think this is going to happen? And so many analysts don't give you the why, No. And that is very important. You have to see why is it happening.
So let me just say that I want everybody, please hear me. Rich Dad makes no recommendations. We don't say buy this, buy that. You want a 401k, knock yourself out. You're the biggest loser I've ever in my whole life because the 401k was only designed to make Wall Street rich. But everybody has a 401k. You want to be a loser? Keep doing it. But your best investment would be the Wellington Letter. So I'm going to be upfront about that because I look forward to Bert Doman's Wellington Letter coming in because I just want the facts. I don't want the BS, the blue sky. So, Bert, give us the bad news now. How far away are we? What do you see happening?
¿Qué pasa?
Well, The first thing is the good news. The good news is that markets will go up, and markets will reach very euphoric stages in the bull market, is driven by record-setting liquidity put in there by the Federal Reserve. We're going to have here, before they get done between Congress and the Federal Reserve, we're going to have about 8 trillion, possibly 10 trillion, depending if all the programs go through, of new artificial money. This has never happened in the history of mankind. Money out of thin air. And, that has its consequences. Not immediately. The first part is wonderful if you know how to take advantage of it. The guys on Wall Street, I bet they must be popping the champagne corks every night, because for them this is beautiful. But at the end, you got to pay. It's like I always say, the hangover after a party is always directly proportional to the amount of fun you had. And this time, we're having a lot of fun. The speculators that have never been in the market before, they think this is how it always is. You just buy a SPAC, or you buy an IPO, or you buy an electric vehicle company that has no cars, no product, no sales, therefore no earnings, and all they have is a business plan, and they'll sell you their stock for $5 billion. All of these crazy things. Then you have Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of these things. These are... the Bitcoin, this is a figment of people's imagination. There's no intrinsic value. But people think it is value because it trades. But what is behind that? In the end, it's just nothing.
Well, Bert, hang on. Bert,
yeah.
Bert, hang on. Like I was watching CNBC the other night, and they have this 19-year-old kid who made $1 million trading GameStop or AMC, from the Reddit crowd, and now he's the expert. I'm going.
He's 19.
Yeah. He's the expert because he made $1 million. But Bert, you and I are the old guys. The question is, next year will he still have the $1 million? Isn't that the question?
That's exactly it, and usually they don't. There's so many people. These are overnight wonders. I've had people come to me and say, "Bert, how do you get registered as an investment manager with the SEC?" And I said, "Why? What makes you think you could manage money?" And they say, "Oh, well, last 3 months I had a terrific run with options. I want to start managing money with options for people." And I said, because you had a good run for 3 months, you think you can manage money in the option market? That's the most ridiculous thing. You cannot make money long-term in the option market unless you have lots of experience.
Oh, and Bert, how about
we
this?
have a record of the amount of money in the options market.
Hey, Bert, what do you think about people want to short the market right now?
Not right now. There will be a time when it distributes.
But do you know what I mean?
In February.
Bert, the reason I'm saying this is because when I'm watching the news, they have all these experts come on, and most of them, were still, they weren't even born around the year 2000. But they're now the experts everybody's listening to, and all they've ever seen is a bull market. And what happened in 2008, that market went up and came down, and then it set off the biggest bull market run in history. And now it's 2021. And the reason I want people, or I suggest people read the Wellington letter, is because you'll have the facts, the charts, and the rationale of history, rather than listening to Bubble Vision, CNBC, or Bloomberg, or all of these people who need sensationalism to sell eyeballs that people want to come and listen. Like I listen to this guy, Max Kaiser, it's now $220,000 for Bitcoin. Well, I hope he's right. He's a smart boy. He's been in the business for a long time, but he's got an agenda. Bert Dohmen doesn't have an agenda. Bert Dohmen, Wellington letter, is to educate you about the facts and the figures.
So, Bert, you said that $8 to $10 trillion is being pumped into the economy right now. What's that impact going to have, and how long is that going to last?
Oh, that's what I mean.
Well, nobody can ever predict this because we have never seen this before. Okay, so we cannot even go by experience. The closest thing that I have found, and I wrote that a year ago, I said, we're going to get into a situation similar to the late 1970s, 78 to 1980. We had double-digit inflation, which drove interest rates. The prime rate went to 21.5%. That was on December 10th, 1980. And, so you go through these phases. The situation I see now is very similar to that, especially the attitude of the Federal Reserve, which is driving all this artificial money. But this is now times 100. Okay, this is so much bigger and more immense, this amount of money. We've never seen this before.
Hey, Bert, hang on.
Last time I saw the head of the Federal Reserve on TV, he was so glum.
Bert, hang on. Okay, this is what, because give you some facts and figures. In 2008, when the market crashed, those clowns, Paulson and those guys said, we're going to pump in $700 billion. Today, they're pumping in trillions. Now, if you can get the difference between $1 billion in 2008 and trillions in 2021, you may understand why Bert's message today on the Wellington letter is important. Because when I was a kid, I used to try and build, a house out of cards. We'd sit there and play cards and you see him build this. But eventually, the house of cards always comes down. So please hear what I'm saying, you guys. If you listen to what everybody else is saying, you're going to get caught in one of the biggest crashes in world history. When it's coming, I don't know. And we don't recommend what you do, but we do recommend you get educated. Next, and I understand what you mean.
Very well said. Very well said. Yeah.
They're printing trillions of dollars, but the thing I want to talk to you about today is where is that money running to? That's the biggest question. It's called the reverse repo market, which 99% of the people have never heard of the repo market. And that's what's covered in your latest Wellington letter, is what is the reverse repo market and what is the repo market? And Kim, we've been studying that for quite a while now,
and
right?
it still boggles my mind. So can you just give us as simple as possible? I know it's a complicated subject, but can you, Bert, give us a simple explanation of what the repo market is and what the reverse repo and the effects?
We had a little mini crisis in the repo market in 2019.
September 17th, 2019. I know the date exactly.
Yeah. And
interest rates went to 10%.
Opposite of what we're having now. Suddenly, the repo market, first let me explain what it is. It's overnight money. Banks need to have reserves at the Federal Reserve. They have a certain reserve requirement, okay? So they park that money at the Federal Reserve, okay? And this is overnight money. So when suddenly they're a little short on the reserves that they have to put up, they go to another bank and you say, can I borrow $10 billion overnight? Okay? And the other bank that has excess reserves, they then give it over just for one overnight. Okay? And what we had in 2019, suddenly the banks that were lending the money overnight refused to do so. They, for some reason, they were probably fearing something that they would not get the money back the next day, and they stopped lending. Then the Federal Reserve had to go in there, and they had to pump in $250 billion overnight just to keep the market liquid. And they finally saw that the traditional lenders were not really returning, and then they made that a lending facility to be continued into year end. So that happened from September to the end of the year. And when we saw this in September, we said, that's it, because we had a good correction in the stock market before that.
So what happened in March of 2020, it went reverse repo. They had to, instead of injecting money in, the banks started pushing money into the Fed. There's two banks in the world today, the big banks like Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and all that, and there's a Fed. So the money started coming out of the banks and flowing into the Fed. That's a reverse repo. And the reason this month's Wellington letter is so important is if you understand what happens is the money is flowing out of the banks. That means your money market funds, your 401ks and all that, the banks are running. And that's what I want people to understand right now. So that's why what Bert writes about is crucial to understand, because it's not about should I buy this stock or that stock or this real estate a good deal and all that. Those are for idiots. And those are idiots. I just go nuts.
So reverse.
So please hear me. Please understand the difference of what Bert is talking about is there's two kinds of banks. regular big banks and the Fed. And the money is running right now out of banks into the Fed. That's a reverse repo.
And so who's doing that and why is that happening?
The Fed is doing it now. So what happened in 2019 was a regular repo. That's putting money into the system. Okay, that's very good for the stock market. What is happening now, the Federal Reserve is taking money out of the banking system. That's why they call it reverse repos. Okay, and it started about 4 weeks ago with 300 billion, 400 billion overnight repos. Now we're up to almost $1 trillion overnight. And it's forecast that probably by end of August, might be up to $2 trillion overnight that the Federal Reserve is taking out of the system.
Okay, Bert, so we'll be right back with you. The point I want to get here is this, is that if you're prepared for this, this could be the best news for you. You see what happened in 2008.
Yeah, if you're prepared, no matter what happens, you can make a lot of money.
Yes.
Even if it's the end of the world. Before
Yes.
the world ends, you can still make some money.
Yes.
Maybe
Before
take
the
it with
world
you
ends.
to heaven, you know?
So Bert, that's why my neighbor in Honolulu or Waikiki where we live, every time I talk to him, he says, Bert is so bearish. I said, I don't know. I hear it as good news. And that's why the Rich Dad Radio Show is the good news and bad news about money. When we come back, we're going more with Bert Doman. I want you to please understand that if you're in the 401k or you think real estate prices will always go up, you may be in for a major surprise. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. And again, we don't make recommendations. We don't say buy this, buy that. We don't say get a 401k or buy real estate and all this. We're purely educational. But if you're an idiot, then I can't help you. And so today we have a very special guest. His name is Bert Doman. He's been a friend for years and years and years. He's infamous in Hawaii, where Kim and I come from. And like I said, a lot of people love him and hate him, but he's pretty accurate. His newsletter is called The Wellington Letter. I highly recommend people subscribe to it because it's not predictions, it's just the facts, what is going on today. And today we're talking about the repo market and the reverse repo. Because remember, September 17th, 2019, the repo went up to 10%. I went, holy mackerel. What does that mean? It didn't even make the news. The Kardashians made the news, but the repo market never made the news. And what happened in 2007 when the repo market went up, the subprime market crashed. And so that's why what Bert is talking about today is we're now in reverse repo. And it's about how the systems work. So before we go on, Bert, would you tell people how they can subscribe to the Wellington Letter?
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Because to get a taste of the Wellington Letter, Bert actually has a special offer for our audience. Good. And if you go to Doman, DOHMEN, domancapital.com/richdad, he's got a soon-to-be-released report called Proving Wall Street Wrong, How You Can Catch the Next Major Bull Market Top. And that gives you a very, very good taste of what the Wellington Letter is about. So it's domancapital.com/richdad.
And we make nothing on this. We just want you to at least be aware of what's going on.
Yes.
So, Bert, how do we subscribe to the Wellington Letter?
Thank you very much. Yes. You know, that report, let me just say, we put a lot of effort into that report, and it's full of examples of important tops and bottoms that we caught over time and why and how we identified. You have to know why. And we do advanced technical analysis, which actually tells us if the big money, the big smart money is flowing out of the market or into the market. And that's what drives the market. And what you hear usually in the media is, earnings are going up or earnings are going down. That's all irrelevant. Sorry.
It's $5.95, and what's the bonus right now? Proving Wall Street Wrong. What is this bonus?
It's a report. I think it's around 25 pages. Basically, how to catch the tops and the bottoms. So proving that what Wall Street says about nobody can time the markets is a fable. They may not know how to time the market or don't want to time the market because you always think, when you get free advice, and the Wall Street advice is free all day long, you have to say, what is in it for them? They have to have back holders on the way down. when a stock market crashes, somebody has to hold all these stocks. And the average investor is elected to be that bag holder. Okay? So he has to be kept very bullish at a market top. So somebody can hold all these stocks all the way down. And at the bottom, then the fear mongers come out,
You talk about some of the warning signals to look for. So what are some of the warning signals that we should be paying attention to that are coming down the road?
The credit markets are so much bigger and therefore so much more important than the stock market. By the time the stock market starts going down, it's already too late for most people to get out. The warning signals come from the credit markets. And we talked about the repo market before. That is part of the credit markets. This is where the warning signals come in. The warning for something bad and also the alert when something good is going to happen, like in September 2019, when there was a repo crisis. The Federal Reserve was putting this huge amount of money into the market, and we said, buy stocks. It's going to go up into the end of the year. And it did. It was a great opportunity. So watching the credit markets is so much more important.
So in your letter and in your report, you're talking about these different warning signals that you need to pay attention to, which I think most people never understand if you're not educated. So that's a big reason to get these reports.
And I want to add this one more thing. It's about study. If you don't want to study, then just buy a 401k. Just go to school, get a job, pay your taxes, get a 401k, and buy a house because it's an asset when it's really a liability. But the thing that, that what Bert's Wellington newsletter, it's an educational piece. It's not stock market or real estate or bond market hype. Like on the front page, it says 50% of all trades are off the exchanges. That means it's all insider trading. Almost 100% insider trading. In other words, the market has already changed before it even makes the news.
So when the Fed, as you were talking about, is pulling all this money back, what does that do to the markets? How does that affect the economy?
Less money means less money available for speculation. Let's face it. We have seen probably the biggest speculative bubble in U.S. market history. Okay, the only equivalents that you can see in history is like the South Sea bubbles, 200, 300 years ago.
Tulipomania.
Yeah, so we have seen so many manias in different market sectors, things totally worthless, like a car manufacturer doesn't manufacture anything. This has an Excel spreadsheet to say, this is what we want to do. And then the investors give them $5 billion in the stock market. This is the kind of thing that doesn't work in the long term. It always leads to an implosion because there's no foundation. The whole foundation right now is like a Swiss cheese, full of holes.
And so we're running out of time, but Bert, I want to sell your Wellington letter because I don't make jack off of it. I just want people to study. Or you can just go to school, get a job, and ask your teacher about a 401k, and which 99% of the American public is doing. And exactly as Bert says on the front page of the Wellington letter, 50% of all trades are off the exchanges and invisible to the average investor. That's why you want to know about the Wellington letter. So how much again is it, Bert?
$595 per year.
That's one of the best investments you can. If you study. If you don't want to study, watch CNBC.
But also go to domaincapital.com//RichDad and get his new report proving Wall Street wrong, which is going to be a great indicator of what the Wellington letter is all about. So
as a writer, let me tell you the reason I subscribe to Bert is simply because what he does is so timely, but it's also historic. And that's why I study. I don't just read it. I mean, I study it. And I get together with my friends, not all of them, but we study. And if you want to protect your future, it takes study. Because the biggest thing is in 2008, when I saw the repo market crash, at that point, Kim and I backed up with Ken McElroy. We invested $300 million in real estate in 2008. That's why we're rich today. But because of Bert's letter, And that's why I get upset with my neighbor. He says, well, Bert's so negative. I said, well, because you're negative. You're an idiot. I mean, bad news can be the best news you could ever get. Is that correct, Bert?
Well, he may be uninformed. Probably is not an idiot.
He just wants the market to go up, 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 up. So whenever you say there's going to be a correction, there's going to. So let me just ask. So again, I want to just because I don't have. I know I'm not asking you for a crystal ball, but the money's going out now. It's at an all-time high in the markets. What is there a timing mechanism we should be paying attention to? A warning signal for when the whole thing does implode?
We are known for having caught in 45 years of our existence every stock market top within 1 or 2 days, sometimes to the exact day. And I don't think there's anybody else that has done that. At least I don't know of anyone. And that's because we use the credit market analysis as a background. That gives us the background scenario, what to look for. Like right now, we're looking for signs of the top over sometime this summer. And then the technical analysis tells us the money flows going into and out of stocks. And that's really, really important. And people always look at what's the Dow doing? What's the S&P doing? These are very faulty indexes that they invented to really pull the wool over people's eyes. When you see the Dow Industrial, that's 30 stocks. It's very easy to manipulate 30 stocks and give the impression, the Dow is going up, everything is fine. No, but 30 stocks are going up. But there are thousands of stocks out there, and they may all be going down. And the S&P 500 is basically controlled by about 15 stocks out of 500 stocks. The rest of the stocks, they don't even matter because it's capitalization weighted. So we use other indices. There's one index that we use quite a bit. That's the value line. It's 1,600 stocks, and it's not capitalization weighted, so it's not faulty. It gives you the true state of the stock market. So you want to look behind the scenes. There's an old saying, what everyone knows in the markets is not worth knowing.
Good.
That's right.
Good line.
So, Bert, we're out of time. I thank you, my friend. Your Wellington report, Dorman Capital Research. It's priceless, especially today, especially for baby boomers, because I think a lot of baby boomers are finally coming to the realization that 401k is not going to carry them through retirement. And I think that would be, if anything, would put ice on your veins or put, chills on your heart. That would be it. What's going to happen when you're 70 or 80 years old and you're out of money? And there's going to be a lot of baby boomers. You think homelessness is bad now? It's only going to get worse. So that's why I want people to subscribe to, Bert's Wellington letter and go to Dorman Capital Research, and $500 or $600 is cheap, right, Kim?
It's absolutely cheap.
Yeah,
it's absolutely cheap.
So, Bert, thank you very much.
I think if people would really spend time reading, the younger people don't read books anymore, and that is such a mistake. They think they can get everything online. That is an error. The best reading, the best education comes from books. And when I was in graduate school, there was only one book on technical analysis in the library of the university, and that was written in the 1930s. Now there are literally thousands of books, so it's much better. But you have to read, and be informed. Information is power, and it's in your head.
Okay.
And I grew up in war-torn Europe, and in Germany, everything was bombed out. The cities were flat, and rubble.
You're talking about Chicago, weren't you?
Yeah.
Or San Francisco.
It's getting to be that way. It's getting to be that way.
Okay, Thank you, my friend. I want everybody to get the Wellington letter, especially this last thing on reverse repos. Thank you. We'll get you on next time. Bye.
Thank you, Bert.
Bye, Bert.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. I want to thank my old long friend, Bert Dorman. He's our neighbor in Hawaii. And everything I say is true. That guy is either loved or hated. And it's all the optimists who live in Fantasia land that hate his letter. And they go, he said it's going to crash. I said, Well, markets go up and markets come down. You know. But I agree 100% what he's saying right now. This one is going to be the biggest in history, and I want to be prepared for it. Any comments, Kim?
Yeah, well, I want to reread the Wellington letter because after talking with him, I'm realizing that there are definitely indicators that we can start paying attention to. And I mean, how can people not understand that at some point this market is going to come down? At some point, it has to. They keep propping it up, and at some point it's got to come down. So,
and the point is they listen to people who have something to gain by the promotion of it. You know, like I say, I buy Bitcoin, but I don't say you should buy Bitcoin. And the people that want you to buy Bitcoin, it's going to go to 1 million too. Well, that's their opinion. I hope it does because I own some Bitcoin, but it doesn't mean it's going to go to 1 million too.
Well, you also don't say buy gold, and we have gold, yes, but so you're on TV all the time on this gold and silver ad, and people go, God, he must have gotten paid a lot to say that. I'm like, no, he didn't get paid anything. No, we don't get any royalty of anything they sell. We don't get commission. We get nothing. We don't do it for that. We don't do it for that.
Because, and then I was in Miami with George Gammon, and I just feel, I'm glad that people show up. And they sit there, but they still have, I went to school, tell me what to do.
Tell me what to do.
And if you listen to a school teacher, you'll wind up like my poor dad, PhD, poor, helpless, and desperate. You have a 401k, and when this thing comes down, that 401k is toast. And the 401k, just historically, came in 1974. Just when after Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. That's just some trivial facts, but the reason it's so hyped up right now is because they could print money, and that's why the repo market and the reverse repo and all that stuff may sound complicated to some people, but if you understand it, you have a better chance of surviving or even thriving, because in 2008, Kenny and Kim and I borrowed $300 million, and we bought the best real estate in all the world at bargain prices with interest rates at near zero. I thought I died and went to heaven. But my neighbor says, oh, you're so negative. I said, no, you're an idiot. That's the problem. Any comments there, Sarah?
All of this reminds me of, remember like a year or two or so ago, we did a series of videos where you blowing up this green balloon?
Yeah.
And it was a warning to people that it can't be blown up forever. Eventually it's going to pop. And it's like history repeating itself. You know, and we always say what people don't learn from history is they don't learn anything from history.
Yeah, that was Jim Rogers. You know. So please, Bert Doman he wants you to win. Mm-hmm. But he puts most of his information not in his voice, but in his newsletter, the Wellington Report. And for $600, it might be the best investment you'll ever make, simply because you might not lose as much when the next crash comes. Any further comments?
Just want to remind listeners that they are doing a special report, and it's first available to Rich Dad listeners. So all you have to do is go to domancapital.com/richdad and be the first to get this new report that they're putting out. And it's free. That report is free.
Yeah, and please read his letter. I read it. I study it. Kim knows I study it. But that's how I get smarter. And that's how I can call the tops, call the turns. That's why I get richer when markets crash. What is that worth to you? What is that worth? Final word, Kim.
Again, I want to say about Bert Doman, what makes his information so priceless and is because it's Doman Capital research. It's research. It's not opinion. And you will see in his newsletter, and you'll see in this free report, it is chock full with charts and graphs and details and statistics. He does his homework, and he has a team that works with him, and he's been doing this for 45 years, and he's got a hell of a track record. So it's research. It's not opinion.
And every month, whenever this thing comes out, this is June 20th, 2021. If you can get this issue, ask for it. But it's just chock full of information. You just don't read. It's not like reading Playboy or something like that. You really got to study it. So they put all this information in here. The reason I'm on Bert is because he cannot tell you, but he can write about it. And his information is priceless. And I just crack up every time somebody says, oh, he's so negative. I'm going, the facts are negative? Well, you should vote for Biden and Kamala if you want positive. Do you know? I just don't understand people who come up to me. Kim saw me in Miami and was going, oh, should I buy real estate or should I buy stocks? I'm going, I lost it.
But here's the last thing I want to say is that people think they're really, really smart because they made money in this stock market. Well, this stock market has been going up, 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 up.
Since 2008.
And they think they're geniuses because they made money on an upward rising stock market. Well, what happens when it starts to come down? Are you prepared? Do you know what to do when that stock market starts to come down? Can you benefit from it? Can you make money from it? Or do you only know how to make it when it goes up?
Yeah. And if you really want to understand more about the repo and reverse repo, George Gammon had a very important podcast explaining repo and reverse repo, because that's really where the money is made. It's not in the stock market. So I thank you all for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show. I thank my really, really good and old-time friend, Bert. And may you guys get educated. Again, we take nothing from this. We make nothing from this. We just want you guys to win. But you have to do the work. You have to put in your own brain power. So thank you for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show.
Thank you.
Có anh không, người hỡi, bao đắm say ta có bên người còn đâu, làn tuyết trắng mùa đông khóc nhau, nhìn từng con phố ngày xưa vắng lặng, nhìn làn tuyết trắng buồn sẽ có hoài. Ngày xưa ấy một lần lầm lỡ, thế nhưng lại đau vì ta mất nhau. Người không thứ tha đời ta ngỡ ngàng, để cho thương nhớ về trong lỡ làng. Ngày ta xa một ngày mùa đông, tuyết rơi lạnh cóng, xót xa hoài mong. Bóng tuyết rơi một đời tạ tới, đóng băng